Welcome back to another fantastic episode of I'm going to Talk and You're going to Listen. This is episode 99, uh, give or take an episode of the I'm going to Talk and You're going to Listen Chance Paladin podcast. And I'm out here in the balmy 80-degree weather because of global warming. And it's global warming the fuck out of this 80 degrees. I tell you what. The sun's shining, the birds are chirping, the AC's going, the solar fountain is going, the sun tea is brewing, the plants are kind of growing, sort of. This cheap little Chinese e-waste microphone thing blobs out the AC compressor perfectly. The cows have stopped complaining. The grass is finally dying. Did I mention the plants are finally growing? Kind of. We finally kind of just started. We were starting an orchard. I don't know if I told anybody that. We're starting an orchard, and we found this guy that was selling fruit trees for almost nothing. A couple of them were pretty banged up. To be honest, there was a nasty storm when we were buying them, and I didn't check them as good as I should have. So there's a couple of them that are really banged up, but we're starting an orchard. So I guess rip people being able to dox the shit out of me eventually, because you'll just see a fucking orchard, and I guess you can come and find me trying to kill me or something. I don't know if that's your thing or not. So there's kind of a lot of thought behind the orchard. Nobody around here has one. And I feel like having an orchard would be a really good community building thing, but also it's probably not even going to be done in our lifetime. The apple trees here, I think, are older than I am, and we're lucky to have one of clearly somebody like ages ago, maybe, I don't know, 50, 60, 70 years ago, must have owned just these hundreds of acres, and that same person must have come through and put apple trees all up and down this thing, because the exact same type of apple is planted up and down this road. Everybody, to the point to where everybody has at least a couple of them. And I think there's a lot of wisdom behind planting, fruit trees for like future generations. People that chop fruit trees down, I think, are like enemies of the state, as far as especially here in the Pacific Northwest, literally. I don't care if it has like one producing branch left on it. Don't chop it off. And when people do that to me, or when people say that in front of me, it makes me extremely upset. My mom, just for no reason, she had a peach tree and it had one branch left on it that was producing, and she chopped the branch off for no reason. She was just being a bitch that day, I guess, and just decided, I'm gonna cut off the last producing branch of this tree. Why would you do that? We grew up our whole lives, eating peaches and eating peach jam and stuff, and it's only one branch, and she said it produced a lot of peaches off this one branch, and she just decided to chop it off. And that shit like triggers me like emotionally, like deep down. When we lived at this duplex, and there was this apple tree just like way off in the field, and the field used to be like a garbage dump, literally, like, and in the yards on both sides used to be one giant combined garbage dump. literally a literal garbage dump. And somehow an apple tree was growing in it. And one day the landlord just came and just sawed it down. No reason. It was not in the way of anything. He just came and sawed a producing apple tree down right in front of me. And I've talked to other people that do that too, and to me, those people are just abominations. You are an abomination to humanity if you saw a producing fruit tree down, as far as I'm concerned. Um, Everybody gets bent out of shape about those 100-year trees, those 1,000-year trees. You know, those trees that are like we're as wide as houses and stuff. And I think that's a travesty too. But that we can't go back and do anything about that. We could stop people from sawing down the trees. At least fruit producing trees. There is no reason to saw down an apple tree. There's just no reason to at all. They're never near power lines. They don't even get big enough to threaten power lines. Um, Shit just boggles my mind. They fall over and produce new ones over and over and over forever. And kind of part two of that is I finally figured out. I've said this before, but like I finally figured out what's just been decimating the fruit trees here. It is field voles, and I've seen a ton of them, and they burrow and they nest at the base of every single tree, and they eat. They ring around the tree, they eat the tree all the way down. And then if they can, they'll go down and they'll eat the roots too. And I pulled up 2 trees that were just completely decimated. There was nothing left of these. These trees were dead. And so, if the bucks, because the deer won't really eat a tree, the deer will nibble off a tip and be like, "Oh, that was interesting." The bucks will kill the tree if they can, either because they're rubbing the felt off their antlers or because they're just feeling like a douchebag that day. Um, the rabbits will eat a tree. I'm pretty sure the rabbits and the bucks are just like shredding the blueberry bushes and the boysenberry and the raspberry. And I have some different things I'm gonna try, but like the problem is these field voles don't have any predators. You can't have field cats here because the hawks and the owls and the coyotes will kill them all. And dogs may or may not keep the coyotes away. The coyotes might just kill your dog. The coyotes aren't going to do, I mean, your dog's not going to do anything about keeping the hawks and the owls away. So the owls don't seem to want to get the field voles, the hawks, and neither do the hawks. So these field voles are just completely out of control. So I'm gonna try some. I'm gonna try some different things. I've heard gravel, like the jagged, uh, uh, like driveway gravel. My neighbor's just got a metric, literal ton, but I don't want to spend hundreds. I don't know, thousands. I gotta ask them. I gotta ask them how much their pile of gravel cost. I think gravel is cheaper than dirt for a lot of reasons, and so I think I'm just gonna ask them how much their pile of gravel was after I check it. After I check it at Home Depot. Sometimes Home Depot's gravel is like super affordable, as long as you don't want the pretty stuff. So maybe Home Depot just has like nasty, jagged bags of gravel. Um, so that's kind of that. I gotta plant these trees, but I don't want the field voles to just kill them all. There's no everyone acts like there's like this big ecological harmony and that nature is just in harmony. No, nature fucking kills itself back to the point of extinction repeatedly. There is no cute, harmonious little balance. The coyotes grow big enough until they eat everything and decimate the entire population of everything, and then the coyotes all starve to death. And then everything comes back. That's not this like beautiful utopian renewal of where the coyotes are sitting there in their council and be like, we should only eat 3 rabbits today because the rabbits can only produce so fast. No. No, the coyotes are like, let's fucking eat everything until we all starve to death. And meanwhile, the rabbits are like, let's just reproduce and make as many little rabbit bastards as we can. And then let's just eat every single plant as fast as we can. And there's no sustainment. None of these little bastard animals give a shit about containment. You think wolves, if we reintroduce wolves, I can't remember who I was talking to this about. You think if we reintroduce wolves, that those things are going to sit in the wolf council and be like, we should only... No, they're going to kill everything until they get bored. And I have stared face to face with so many wolves. And like, I'm sure there's a lot going on in there. But it's not sustainment. It's like, should I kill you? I don't know. I don't feel like killing you today. Maybe I'll let you go to work. Okay, thanks, wolf. I guess. I don't even know what you're doing in my driveway. You should go back to wherever you came from, you wolf. You weirdo. They look like gigantic German shepherds. Humongous husky German shepherd things. Massive. Anyway, so if you don't protect your trees around here, the deer, rabbits, and field voles will completely kill everything. They don't care about sustainment. There's fields of grass for 100 miles in every direction, and forest, and all berries, and they're like, no, we want to eat your cabbage. It's like, but I don't have very much cabbage. No, we want to eat the cabbage, we decided. And I can't remember who it was. Someone had like 30 cabbage or something. They like way overdid their cabbage in like one. I can't remember what kind of critter they said it was. It came through and just ate all the heads of cabbage in just like one night. Or something like that. These animals do not have like 2 brain cells to put together at all. They're on autopilot. They're NPCs. And I am sorry for people that have rabbits as pets. And I'm just sorry for people who have birds as pets. It's like I'm sure there's a little bit there to an extent. And you can kind of very, very loosely-ish sort of kind of domesticate them, which really all that is just making them loosely dependent on you. You're not actually making that thing very much smarter. You're kind of training it a teeny tiny bit. A rabbit is not going to be your partner, or people, possums, raccoons, ferrets. I mean, what are you doing? You can train them to do stuff. They can kind of very loosely be a companion. Some of them, rabbits can't. I guess maybe you could train like a raccoon or a ferret or a possum or a skunk. People want those things as pets, and it's just like you can love something, and it can sort of kind of be dependent on you, and it can kind of form a bond with you, but like it's not really like a reciprocating relationship. There are some things where you can like loosely mutually benefit each other, like having pet chickens. It's like, well, I guess that thing makes eggs for you, and it kind of kills and eats all the bugs and snakes and kind of peck things to death. But it's not like a deliberate, intentional, like mutually beneficial situation. Like these cows, they're not really pets. They can sort of kind of come when you call, and they kind of look at you with their big doe eyes, but there's not really much there going on. They're almost entirely on autopilot, and then they have kind of a few default programs, to defend themselves, and they kind of play a little bit. It's fun to watch the horse play with the cows, but I don't know. I think, what is it, like pigs? I think pigs are kind of a different animal. Maybe goats. I don't know. Goats are also just completely insane animals. Um, I don't know. I the I would love to have field cats. I would love to have field cats, but like I also know they would just get completely decimated, and it would just be heartbreaking. Every single cat except for one, and I don't completely understand the deal with this cat. Every other cat has been wiped out because people are just leaving cats here, and leaving dogs here, by the way. And dogs make their way up here constantly. If someone doesn't grab them, they don't make it. Um, this whole romantic idea of having field cats doesn't work. They get annihilated. Rabbits only exist out here not because they're smart. Rabbits are one of the stupidest animals on the planet. They only survive out here through sheer volume, sheer numbers, and because they haven't quite made me mad enough yet to do something about them. Like you could 22 plink rabbits here at like point blank range. They have no fear of humans at all, and they're dumb as hell. They'll stand right in front of the lawnmower. Literally, they will stand in front of the damn lawnmower. There's just nothing. There's nothing there. So you can't. If you have cats out here, they have to hunt at night, and that's when the coyotes are out, and that's when the owls are out. Like you can have a barn cat. Okay, you cannot have a field cat. You'd have to have an overwhelming number of cats, and probably like 90% of them aren't going to make it. So you might have like a rolling run of like, cats for like 2 or 3 years. Who wants to only have a cat for 2 or 3 years? I want to have a cat for 15 years. I want to have a cat my entire life. Cats are amazing, amazing, empathetic, mutually beneficial companions most of the time. You know, Ringo grabs a mouse, He puts the mouse with the rest of his toys on the playmat, and he just keeps if the mouse tries to run away, he just puts the mouse back on his playmat over and over again. And he's like, "This mouse is my toy, and the toys have to stay on the playmat." I'm like, "Okay, Ringo, I can't argue with that logic. I guess that makes sense." You know, rabbits aren't going to do that. What's the rabbit going to do? Give me another carrot. I'm going to shit everywhere and eat everything. Um, Cows, I'll even argue, like, those things have they have very little self-preservation at all. They'll stand in the road. They'll get out and just run around, even though you're trying to put them back in where they're safe. They have no concept that that cage keeps them safe. Ironically, with rabbits, is like our rabbits will come in the wire, come in the caged and fenced areas. I think they at least have some understanding that it's safer inside the caged area, because sometimes, despite the fact there being tons of things here that they would like to eat, they still come in the caged area and eat the grass. But I also think that's just because they're freaking morons. I can't believe that the rabbit would just randomly, consciously decide to eat grass when there's... Like last year, I went out of my way to do this whole like distractionary garden thing, and it didn't even work because the rabbits just ignored the distractionary garden as far as I could tell. They didn't eat the kale at all. They go nibble the tips off the carrots, which doesn't make any sense. I don't know why they do that. They go nibble the tips off the strawberries. They eat the strawberry leaves. I don't know why. The strawberries cannot grow fast enough. Between my wife and I, we have planted 2 entire batches of strawberries, and they cannot outgrow the rabbits. Although I'm sure the field voles have been eating them too. So it's been this never-ending struggle to figure out what you can grow that can outproduce rabbits and field voles, since nothing is taking care of their population. We had one coyote that was coming through here for a while, and he was eating the occasional field mouse. He just ate them whole, which is hilarious to watch. I watched him eat 2 whole mice. But even though there's a whole field full of voles, he would come over and eat the mice instead. And there was a kitten that used to come and hunt, which obviously that kitten didn't make it. It would go hunt the mice. I don't know why nothing hunts those field voles. They're huge, by the way. These things are the size of rats, except they're pointy like a mole, and they make tunnels through the grass. But they also dig in the ground like a mole does. You fill their holes full of sticks and stuff, and they just nibble right through it all and keep going. They don't like water. It's pretty funny. Anyway, I'm getting tired again. I'm mega tired today. I thought I took care of the wasps a couple days ago, but clearly I missed a wasp nest somewhere, and I don't know where. I got like 90% of them, and I'm really bummed. I don't know where the other ones are coming. Anyway, blah blah blah. So that was the warm up. That was the warm up topic. I'm gonna pause and start topic number 2. All right, welcome back. Thank you. I think topic number 2 is an oldie but a goodie. This is probably the topic of like every second or third podcast. Like, we're not gonna make it. Well, okay. Thank goodness that was a hummingbird. I thought that was a bee the size of a freaking... Anyway, hello hummingbird. The hummingbirds here are very tame, even though they don't get along with each other. So there's a lot going on with the financial markets, and I've been thinking of having a special guest for episode 100 where we just talk about financial crap. I'm going to try to break this down in a way that anybody could understand it. But you can decide whether or not you care about it, and that's your own damn problem. So, most people are familiar now with the Fed. They set interest rates. Who the heck? Nobody knows what else they do besides buy $2.5 billion buildings and just, by all accounts, should just be dissolved. So, interest rates are what affect credit card debt. They're what affect your house payments. They're what affect your your car payment, your credit cards. Basically, your credit cards. Like let's see a wave of hands in the audience of how many people are just fucked on credit card debt right now. Or student loans. Yeah, thank you whoever blurted out student loans. So it's the Fed that sets the interest rates on that. Nobody knows how or why. They're in charge of fiscal. They're the people that are supposed to be fiscally responsible for everything in the United States, and they set interest rates, and they can something bonds, T-bills, something. Japan and China own about $1 billion in T-bills apiece, and then I guess, oh crap, I forgot his name again. The big investor guy. I can't believe I forget it. Warren Buffett. Thank you, whoever said Warren Buffett. This is filmed in front of a live cow audience. These are pretty educated cows. I'm surprised. So, Warren Buffett owns a bunch of T-bills, probably all the T-bills at this point. And, the theory being those things gain interest, and then you eventually sell them back for money, and so hopefully the economy doesn't go upside down, and those will all, be worth a lot of money, if the economy, if we go into a recession, those would be worth a lot of money because they'd be gaining a lot of interest because our interest rates are so high. I think that's how it works. But if our interest rates go up even more, then people kind of rebuy them all so they can try to get higher interest rates so they can try to make more money. And then if it's like people buying our debt, kind of, and then getting interest on our debt somehow, I think. And then if our interest goes to zero, or if we have negative interest rates, all those people are screwed effectively. And so I think people wonder, like, where the Fed chair's loyalties really lie, what his real game plan is. Nobody knows. Nobody even knows if he knows at this point. And what's happened is that the housing market has completely flatlined. They finally met that middle ground where everybody that can get one has one, and everybody that can't has been so thoroughly priced out that they can't get one. That was weird. I heard something. Maybe it was the cows being weird. I don't know. So nobody can get a house. House is a flat line. Now, this is normal for the banks. The banks are used to sitting on houses for a really long time. So my speculation is that the banks have figured out finally how to indefinitely sit on houses, which is the banks just buy a lot of Bitcoin. Bitcoin keeps going up, and this can just offset them sitting on their houses forever while they wait for interest rates to go down. So the bank now owns metric shit tons of houses because everyone's defaulting on their houses, because everyone's losing their jobs. Student loans came due, nobody can pay their student loans off because there's no jobs, and those student loans were a waste. And you kind of got the death loop is finally reaching like that last little circle, right? That's how the death loop works. It's a loop, it's a circle, and eventually the line runs out. So everyone's, there's people that are still going to school for some reason. I don't fucking know why. They're looking for some rich guy to fuck, I guess, and hopefully their fucking is good enough to pay off their student loans, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what chick is worth like $60,000, $60, $70, $80,000. Not when there's so many chicks out there. The girl market, for all intents and purposes, has completely oversaturated. It's like a race. Gals are kind of like a race to the bottom right now. They're just like a crazy commodity in terms of proportionally relational to guys with jobs that would be able to pay off the insane debts that they're racking up. And this has actually been a problem for a long time. It was just a very small population of gals, and so the amount of guys' lives they could wreck was pretty small. And I apologize if I've told this story before, but there was a guy at a bank. He was dating a gal. He thought she was the one, I guess. He emptied out his entire 401k to pay off her student loans, and she left him like a few days later. Drained this guy of every last penny, and he had no recourse. And at I don't know, 25 or 30 or something, he just had to just completely start his life over. I mean, thankfully he still had his job, and he was working his way up like the bank ladder, but clearly he was targeted by a gal because he had a good job and worked at a bank. And clearly he was targeted, and this is what's going to happen. Gals are going to target guys. They're going to promise children, and they're going to promise whatever they've got to promise. And you're going to pay off their student loans, and they're going to leave you, and not only are you going to have no girlfriend, but you're going to have no money with which to be able to entice another girl, because guys now need a lot of money if you're going to entice a gal. And gals predominantly have to exercise more. They have to be more viable to males, I would say, because there's less and less guys with money, and stable jobs, for all intents and purposes, don't exist. And so you could have 100 gals potentially fighting over a guy with a job. As gals try to make themselves more marketable to guys that are more stable. This is just how it works. Some of you may say, well, that's not how it should work. If a gal is going to sacrifice 9 months of her life and be vulnerable, she needs a guy who is going to be able to take care of her and be stable and have a stable, safe shelter and money and stability. Otherwise, she's just reckless and insane. Now, there are tons of chicks out there that are reckless and insane. But as a guy, that is ideally not who you want to be raising your child. It's the person who's going to be home with your child all day while you're working, and you need her to be squared away. She needs to be able to run an AR, and she needs to be able to watch the cameras and feed the kid and stuff. Like, she's like your private security detail, last line of defense for your kid. You don't want a chick that's completely fucking insane, or she's going to drown your baby because it's on a Tuesday or something. So this kind of paradigm shift is happening where they tricked gals into going massively into debt. Now there's no jobs, and now if they have their own business, they can just, hire their girlfriend, hire their wife, or whatever, hire their family, hire their friends' families, and you've got an insanely locked down, stable, impenetrable, uncancelable network. Unfortunately, that is not the direction a lot of people were led down. And even though I've tried to do that now, this is my second time making a massive concerted effort to try to start my own business. It's barely a side thing. Of course, I'm talking about PNW affliction and bunker basics. But like, at least I'm trying. A lot of people aren't, and corporations and the federal government are both going with this like last in first out mentality where you're going to be laid off. The closer you are to retirement, the more likely you are to get laid off. And you might have a gal that you've been with for 20 years, and now you've got a 50-50 chance, which is good odds. I think part of what I'm trying to say here is that getting your own hot corpo chick was not the worst idea in the world. Now you've got a 50-50 chance to at least get the bills getting paid, right? But if you're a single income home, that guy has got to be insanely thrifty, and hopefully the gal's got a side job going on, and hopefully the guy's got a side job going on. Like, you have to have redundancy on top of redundancy on top of redundancy, because as we found out when we lost our house last time, when these economic crises hit, and I'm not talking about the Rona, I'm talking about the two before that, the one that was like 0708, and the one that was like 14, 15, 16, 17, 15, 16, 17, and then the Rona, which was like another 3-year clusterfuck. Like, we've been having like 3 years of crash and like 1 year of like semi okay for like 4 rotations now. And you can look at crypto, and crypto's doing the same thing. Buy Bitcoin. Not financial advice. But like, the recoveries aren't enough to pay for the crashes anymore. So if they don't defer your student loans, and if they don't freeze evictions, and if there's no stimmies, and if interest rates go down, this is just going to wipe everybody out. Because your debt is going to pile on, you're going to go into bankruptcy, and then they really got you, and you can't go into bankruptcy and include your student loans anyway. And if you can't sleep your way out of it because you're some hot chick, or maybe a guy that finds a sugar mama, but that's unlikely. You can't OnlyFans your way out of it anymore. Are you going to work for a diner when like all the restaurants got wiped out during the Rona? Are you going to work in hospitality? All that shit's been wiped out or replaced by Mi Amigos that ICE hasn't kicked out yet. Like, The tech layoffs are massive, massive, and they're replacing them with H-1Bs and AI and automation and offshoring. And the government has only begun to restructure. And state and local are municipalities are all hurting too. I still believe that we are looking at like 90% layoffs by the time this is all done, because the government is doing exactly the same thing that the corporations have done in the last 3 crashes. The government knows how screwed it is. The problem is the executives are hanging on for their dear lives, because goodness forbid the people that caused this mess ever have to be unemployed. The executives are going to be the last people to be unemployed. I got into an argument with a guy about it earlier. Oh, I understand how speculation works. Motherfucker, no. Because if executives in the government were being laid off, there would be news about it. And there's not. There's none. Because they're not being laid off. Everybody underneath them is laid off. The executives have to lay themselves off, and they will never do that. There is nobody has the power to lay off the executive branch. And so this guy, I was just like, you're a fucking fool. Well, no, they've been retiring entire departments. That means a lot of executives. No. You can lay off an entire government. You can lay off almost an entire 3-letter agency and still have the entire executive branch of it intact. The entire executive level. I'm just like, yeah, I fucking can't stand retards like this. And so, inevitably, when it's time for the government to come back, the executive level is still going to exist to recreate the exact same one again. And so, all these worker bees are unmarketable. They're all unmarketable. They've never done anything else their entire life. They've never had to apply for a single job in their entire life. I know I've talked about this before. Like, it's kind of true. Like, people in the unemployment office are completely unglued from reality. Or if you tried to hire a judge for a non-judge job or whatever, you try to have the IRS work for anybody else. I mean, some of them are maybe accountants or auditors, and maybe they could, but you're right. You know, they've been pushing a button their entire life. They took a massive pay cut in hopes that everyone would just leave them alone so they could push their button and eke out their life. And I think a universe should exist where people can fail, and you could automate all that and just end tens of thousands of people's lives, because at that they may as well just. What are the alternatives in Minecraft? What are the alternatives if you just unemploy 90% of the population? That is depopulation. It's not recession. It's depopulation. Okay, you can bring on universal basic income. Medicare and Medicaid are shit, but whatever. Even more people are just gonna die on Medicare and Medicaid. They're gonna exhaust their credit cards. They're gonna exhaust their pay-in for. If they had anything they could take out on a mortgage, that's all gonna be. This is designed to wipe out everybody's bank accounts, force everyone to lose their houses, and just depopulate the entire United States. Put them on a digital coin, seize all their assets, seize all their crypto, turn it all into low-income housing, force everybody back into 15-minute cities. And people say this is a conspiracy theory, but it's not. This is where it's all headed. There is no coming back from this. It's going to take the U.S. too long to become the energy powerhouse that it needs to be able to dominate crypto and AI. I think NVIDIA is having challenges. Intel is completely circling the drain. AMD doesn't give a shit what the fuck is going on. They're in their own universe. And meanwhile, China is going to outproduce us in energy. They may not ever be able to outproduce us in weapons, but they're sure going to try. They're going to outproduce us in AI. They're going to outproduce us in everything. And all we have is Bitcoin and land. And private equity is trying to take all of our land from us. Like, if people offered me $10 million, I don't know. Like, I would have to go look somewhere else and see if there is even anything available for $10 million. And my guess would be that there's kind of not. Because if everybody else is getting offered $10 million also, all the $10 million shit is just going to be gobbled up. And there's people running around with $100 million right now with nothing to spend it on. People are gambling on the most inane shit if you've ever been to Polymarket. So crypto's not over with, but crypto's kind of got a moat around it. And now people are just betting on random shit. Sports betting is done. Sports betting is retarded. Anyway. People are betting on video games, and people are just betting on the Polymarket, just betting on random shit. Like, this is the end of late stage capitalism. If you can't grow food, and if you don't have your own job that is scalable, that you are in control of, and if you can't protect your trees from field voles, this is it. This is it. Nothing is going on with the Second Amendment. We're not getting our Second Amendment back. People are too much fucking pussies. And they're still living vicariously through their jobs. And like the fucking boomers did. The boomers lived vicariously through their jobs. They pissed away all their money. They left us with fucking nothing. Because as long as they're, I have to work my job. I have to do my job, my noble job, because I wear the pants in the family and I'm doing my noble job. Cool, but they didn't save anything and they didn't leave us with anything, and now they vote to keep their boomer checks in. Meanwhile, the rhinos just let all those pedos get away with it, saying Epstein didn't do anything. Oh, he was just in jail for no reason, and Gilly was in jail for no reason, and Prince Andrew, right? I always fuck that up. In Minecraft. I guess he just didn't do anything. I guess he was just outside the pizza restaurant with that, with the underage girl with Gilly for just no reason. I guess none of it happened. And you got that frigging bipolar schizophrenic Adderall monkey jumping around from day to day on 10 different things, thinking that he's going to make the new Republican Party. That guy is nuts. He's always been nuts. His ass needs to be deported. And just the deep state and the cabal are still in full swing. Nothing's happened. Truth Social's going over to crypto. I want to check that shit out. That sounds fucking awesome. I guess for $10 a month in Truth Social, you get access to the new crypto system they're working on. That's fucking genius. Twitter could have done that 10 years ago. They could have done that with Doge, and they just never did because Musk is a fucking moron. You want Doge to go to the moon? They should have made Doge Twitter's currency, and they should have completely gotten off the US dollar and just forced everybody to buy Doge if they want to do anything on Twitter. That shit is so stupid. They are so fucking stupid. That guy is such an idiot. He is such a grifter idiot. He has no idea. He talks about jerking off XAI. It's like, dude, Grok sucks. There was one day where Grok was telling the truth and shit, and they fucking shut it off last week. And you try to tell people about this stuff. I try to tell people how stable diffusion works. You try to explain to people how LLMs work, and they go, well, I don't like it. I don't trust it. It's weird. I don't give a shit what you think or feel about it. I'm trying to explain to you how it works. Well, I don't like it. I don't trust it. It's weird. Okay, so you're just a fucking idiot then. If that's your answer, you've just checked out. I can't be bothered to talk to you. Like, those people are a waste. I don't know what they're doing on this planet. Now is the only time, the last time in the whole history of the planet to actually try to get engaged and wake the fuck up. But instead, do you know what people say? Oh, well, thank goodness. Thank goodness I'm already retired. What? Thank goodness you're already retired, so you don't have to think about it. You don't have to do anything about it. You're not leaving anybody anything either, are you? That's just late stage boomerism. We are all screwed. And you know what people say? Because I saw this on Twitter the other day. Oh, I wish someone would come do something about this. And then people start doing something about it. And you know what people immediately did? Well, that's not what I would have done. You're not going to fucking do anything. That's what you're not going to have done. Nothing. You're not going to have done anything because you're not going to do anything. Well, you're just antagonizing. You're just antagonizing him. Motherfucker, you're not. Well, it's really easy for you to sit behind a keyboard. You're fucking sitting behind a keyboard, you idiot. You're behind a keyboard criticizing other people for doing shit while accusing them of being behind keyboards, which they're not. They were out doing something about it. And that's the problem. We've got this entire population of people, and it's all boomer shit. That's not how I would have done it. Grown up their whole lives watching movies going, that's not how I would have done it. Watching the football game, that's not how I would have done it. Watching their neighbors, that's not how. You wouldn't have fucking done anything because you haven't done anything your whole life. You woke up, you went to work, you pushed a fucking button for 8 hours, or maybe you lifted shit, I don't fucking know. And then you came home, and then you played with your belly button. I don't know what the fuck you did. Had kids, and then I guess made them do everything while you just fucked off. And gave up. Because as long as you had your job, everything was fine. The fucking boomers never sat there for 10 seconds and just thought, this shit can't go on forever. These jobs can't exist forever. The unions are useless. The unions should have been abolished ages ago. They don't protect anything. And then with the federal government, they want to get rid of the unions anyway, and the unions and the federal government don't do anything either. And you've got district court judges controlling the entire United States, and nobody can still explain to me how that shit works. But it apparently does, at least temporarily. And someday the federal government is just going to completely stop ignoring district judges. Just like how Texas was ignoring the federal judges. When they were having ice problems at the border during the Sleepy Joe tenure. So there is going to be another, not necessarily civil war, something between a civil war and a revolutionary war, because the I-5 corridor has completely put their middle finger up to the federal government. The federal government is either going to have to back down or arrest them all. And I think history has shown that sooner or later the federal government will crack down on the states. They will have to. They will have to go up and down the I-5 corridor and arrest all the politicians. A lot of people want to see that. That will cause a massive, massive civil upheaval. know if it should be called a civil war or a revolutionary war. I've gone back and forth about that. But shit is going to pop off. The federal government does not back down from anybody, ever. Their entire existence is predicated on them being able to assert authority, and if that means dropping a bunch of JDAMs or dropping a bunch of mops or arresting a bunch of governors that have gone rogue, they're going to fucking do it. They're not going to roll in with tanks. They're just going to swoop in, and all of a sudden the governors of the I-5 corridor are just going to be in a holding cell somewhere, and that'll be it. And then they'll go, okay, what now? That'll be it. And then there'll just be massive civil upheaval. That is going to happen because the I-5 corridor governors are not backing down. And people are too much pussies to do anything about it. And I think it's better that the federal government handle this, or at least have the opportunity to handle it. And people think, oh, democracy. Well, okay, here's a chance for democracy to work then. Democracy, go democracy it. Everyone needs to have their day in court and this and that and da-da-da. Meanwhile, there's people who've straight up murdered family members, and they're like, well, they're not fit for court, and then they put them in the hospital for a little while and let them out. I just saw that just happened again. And you've got illegals still running around, SAing gals, imprisoning gals, pleading, which means they're admitting that they're doing it and being let out in the U.S. And then they're repeating. This shit has got to be by design. But as long as people still have their job, I got to go take care of my cows. Someone else will handle it. It's like, no, nobody's handling it. Sooner or later, something's going to happen to the cows. We can't protect these cows forever. Sooner or later, something's going to happen to your job. We're going to have 90% unemployment. And if you don't have Bitcoin, you're going to be fucked. We're going to be going to a digital stable coin. Like any one of these days, Orange Man is going to have that shit through. It's going to be on his desk. Even though I swear he said we weren't going to do it. And we're going to have to be. The Fed's going to have to be dissolved. Everyone's currencies are going to have to be absorbed. Everyone's assets are going to have to be absorbed, and it's going to have to be rolled into a new federal stablecoin. I have gold. Okay, I guess you're going to have to roll your gold into a stablecoin then. Not very many states have rolled over to having gold as a backup standard. There's places in the city you still can't use cash because cash just gets everybody robbed. Plus, the cities are emptying out. They're still trying to force everybody back to work, by the way, but then they're firing them all and replacing them with H-1Bs. So the cities are going to be Indians, like the dot heads, and illegals and druggies. Those are going to be the cities. Who's going to be open? Who's going to run a business? Who's going to have cash? Who's going to take your gold? Oh, use my gold. You're going to bring your gold to the city when you're forced back into the office and use your gold in the. How the fuck is that going to work? Is the vending machine going to take your gold? No, the vending machine is going to require an app on your phone that, by the way, records everything and tracks everything. So the FFLs in Washington State now have to have audio recordings of everything. Phones already do that. I know, you already have a phone that tracks you and records everything. Yeah, except you can leave it at home. That shit is going away soon. You're not going to be able to have car insurance without your phone. Your phone is going to be recording your speed. Your phone is going to be recording everything you say. And pretty soon, every single car is going to have cameras in every single direction. And your phone and that thing are going to be recording everything. The speed you go is going to be tied to your social credit score. This shit is right around the corner. It is all going to happen so fucking fast that nobody's even going to know it. Oh, I'll do X, Y, Z. You're not going to do shit. Because if you want to be able to drive anywhere, You're going to have a phone. Well, I can't afford one. They'll give you one. Don't worry, they'll give you one. Just like you have your Google account is free. These phones will be free. That's fine. I can't afford one. They'll give you one. Don't worry. They'll take care. The government will take care of you, or the corporations, or the government corporations, the corporation government, or whatever. It's all the same fucking thing. You're not going to vote your way out of this. Oh, the votes are stolen. No, the votes aren't stolen. People are lazy. People are fucking lazy. Well, no, in Oregon, like, they definitely just keep admitting that more and more and more illegals were totally able to vote. But people are still lazy, all right? The percentages of people voting are still really low. And then they vote for fucking milquetoast, middle of the road, sellout ass rhinos anyway. Fucking Reichart. All this shit, all these fucking controlled opposition. Like, wake the fuck up. If fear-mongering, things aren't that bad, just go out. You can still just go outside and touch grass. You can still just go hiking for now, until they sell off all the forest land, which they're constantly trying to do. The government doesn't need this land. Oh, okay, you want to sell the rest of it off to private equity firms because that's where it's going to go. And you think China hasn't seen what's gone on in Ukraine and Iran and hasn't planted drone trucks everywhere? Like, you really think you're going to have power? Everybody gets so mad at all these prepping channels for trying to sell their solar generators and trying to make a few bucks. If you don't have expandable solar generators by now, batteries and solar panels, for those of you who are slow. Any one of these YouTubers, they're all trying to tell you. You might not like it, and it may be some Chinese jibber jabber brand, but like, if you go on the AI will tell you whatever. Pick your favorite YouTuber, and your favorite YouTuber is trying to sell you some solar generator, and you're like, I don't know, that looks like a jibber jabber brand. Just go to your AI. I don't trust AI. I don't like AI. I don't understand AI. AI is weird. Use it for 10 seconds and stop being a fucking idiot. Go on whatever AI. You probably have a bunch of free ones. If you're on Google, you've got one. If you're on Microsoft, you have one. Go on Twitter if you have one. Everyone's giving you a free AI now. Go to the closest AI you have. Put in the jibber jabber solar generator name and say, here's what you say. I am looking at solar generator name XYZ. How is this in relation to EcoFlow, Blue Eddy, and Goal Zero? So and then tell it, if you rate Blue Eddy, Goal Zero, and EcoFlow as a 10, where is, I can't think of any of the names of the other ones, or where's Patriot Power Bank, or whatever all those other damn ones. I can't think of all their names. Understanding that if they have a massive marketing budget, they're probably overpriced a little bit, but they only have to run your fridge in like one grid down before they paid, fridge and freezer for one grid down before they paid for themselves. I kind of don't really care how expensive they are, especially if they have the outlets and the MPPT controller and the inverter and the outlets that you want. And if they're as expandable as you want, it doesn't really matter how much they cost. As the shit progressively hits the fan, how much things cost is going to be completely irrelevant. You're either going to have it or you don't. You're either going to have solar or you're not. Okay? Like, you're either going to have batteries or you're not. You're either going to have the knife you need or you're not. You're either going to have the stove and the wood you have or you're not. Okay? Either your home is going to be repaired or it's not. I'm not saying go into debt, but what I'm saying is, like, if you have money and you have access to an AI that you even kind of remotely trust, and obviously verify the things that it says, because they hallucinate off their balls sometimes, or start calling themselves Mecha Hitler for some reason. So yeah, the AIs can be a little crazy, but like, trust but verify. Use it as a tool. Use the AI for what it is meant for, which is aggregating large amounts of data really fast. That is like the one thing that it's good for, really good for. So if you're looking at 3 or 4 generators, solar generators, you say, how long has Opus, I know I call him Oops to be an asshole, how long has Opus been in versus EcoFlow, Blue Eddy, and Goal Zero? And it'll tell you, Opus has been in for this and many years, this and this years, and so on a scale of 1 to 10, if Blue Eddy, EcoFlow and Goal Zero are on the top, I would rank it like an 8 out of 10. And you're like, okay, that's pretty good. Thank you. And then as you look at other ones, you say, well, what about this one? And they're like, oh, that one's only been in for like 2 years. And you're like, oh shit, that's not good. Don't trust solar generators that have only been in the game for like 2 years, because you don't know what kind of infrastructure is there, But Oops has been around for a while. A lot of the Patriot. Hello, Mr. Hopperson. Oh, the bunny was literally right under me. Son of a bitch. The bunny was literally right under me. The little booger. Oh, there it goes. And he ran the wrong way. Whatever. The AI will just tell you how old they are. Don't get scammed by one that's only been around for 2 years, because they'll throw a bunch of money and then they'll fucking ghost. But, so be suspicious when you see some new jibber jabber name. But the AI will tell you. Or go to City Prepping's YouTube and look up one of his newer-ish videos that has them all in a big matrix. And I don't know if he really declares if they're expandable or not. Get ones that are expandable. But like, even Energy with an I, they've been around for a long time. They've started making new LiFePO4 batteries. Jackoffery. They've been around forever. They've started making expandable LiFePO4s. I think their lithium ions are dog shit. But they have a huge infrastructure built around them, and that makes them more inherently reliable than these fly-by-night jibber-jabber power banks. Same thing with... shit, of course I'm going to forget the name of it all of a sudden. I'll think of it. Crap, the other one. Anyway, there's a couple. Holy cow. Forgetting the name of it. I can see them. I've got a bunch of them. They started off making the smaller power banks. Anyway, if you have any questions about power banks, let me know. The point is like, there's going to be a time and a place where you're going to need your own energy, and it could be in the summer. It could be fires, and they shut your power off in an emergency. Okay, it could be tornadoes. It could be grid down from hackers. It could be grid down from like flying drone bullshit going on. Okay, it could be water shortages, and the dams just can't handle the power, and we have a heat wave. You've got, not just to stay cool, but to keep your food cool, to keep your family cool. I don't have AC that can run on power banks because I don't have the right windows. That's kind of a cop-out, but I kind of don't care. We have a lot of fans. I think we'd be okay. And you just got to be prepared, because you get the shit that you need now. Like the tariffs haven't gone anywhere, and Prime Day tanked big time. Prime Day tanked like 40%. um, and then copper's got a 50% tariff, and people think that's going to jack ammo up, which I didn't even think about. That's frightening. And they're trying to sell off federal land to private equity, or they're going to turn it into fucking homeless camps. And meanwhile, people are worried about illegals being thrown into camps, or suspicion of being illegals. Yeah, that kind of sucks and that's kind of gay, but when we're in a war, that's kind of the first thing that happens. You're kind of guilty until proven innocent, and you're going to get thrown in the gulag. And that's already been happening. There's been Canadians that have been thrown in the gulag before without their passports. And I read that thing, and it took this gal forever to get back out again. And she was being farmed around with all the other illegals. And yeah, that sucks. That should concern people, but that shouldn't stop the fact that we need mass deportations. Yeah, that might screw up ag. Okay, then we can hire people or go to automation. That might screw up roofers. Okay, then we'll hire more roofers, or we'll get roofer robots. Kick out the H-1Bs. Hire all the Intel and Amazon people that are getting fired. I'm sick of Musk's bullshit talking about how, well, if you're going to work for XAI, we're going to ride you hard. You're going to be working long, hard hours, and we expect that shit from you. Oh, okay, so unreasonable working conditions and no work-life balance. And then he's like, oh, we can't find Americans. We need to bring in H-1Bs. Oh, okay, so you can work Indians to death, which, by the way, don't have tech in their own country, but you think that they're somehow better than here because STEM something something, Fang, Chinese, Indians. We don't need to be the best tech people in the world. We don't produce or export that much tech stuff anymore. We don't. And there's a lot of reasons for that. We don't pay enough. People want a work-life balance. Maybe people don't want to work 90-hour weeks and just be worked to death and bled out and burnt out and not be able to raise a family and permanent crunch time, and then just get let go and act like you're a low performer when you worked your ass off. And people defend this shit. Oh, Musk is running high performers. He's a high performing company, and you need to be able to Apple, Google, Facebook, Amazon, Intel. But why? Why? What's going to happen when 90% of us are unemployed? Is your kid going to be able to compete with that? No, because they're all going to be Indians. Your kid is going to be irrelevant. Your kid is not going to be able to compete with people that were bred and born to do Fang and STEM and all that shit. They still have whole entire STEM programs, and it's just like, there's no jobs for these gals. They had a whole female girl STEM program thing in Portland, and it's like, no, it's all going to Indians. I don't even know why you're trying to, you really want your young girls around a lot of these creeps. Why? This is the reality. This melting pot idea was a setup. There's no other country in the world that's a successful melting pot, unless you want to count. Oh, just kidding. Yeah, there aren't anymore. Lebanon. Look what happened to fucking Lebanon. Iraq was a melting pot. Look what happened there. Like, UK is a melting pot. How's that going for them? And I'm not saying do the no things. I'm saying, like, this is not a recession This is a replacement. We are being literally and metaphorically replaced at every level. And if you have a kid, you got to try to figure out what you want that, how you want to angle that kid into being successful. That is not going to be college anymore, except in like ludicrously rare circumstances, like if they're going to be a doctor. Do we need lawyers anymore? Why is anyone going to lawyer school? Do we need lawyers? I don't think so. And you know, all these old ass boomers aren't going to retire till the asses are dead now. Because if nobody's going to shove them out, there's no reason for them to leave. So you're going to have 3 generations of families living in houses again. And quite frankly, that's smart. I'm pissed at my family for not putting that shit together. They should all be pooling their resources and they should all be moving here. And we should just be working on this place nonstop. But they're so fucking... They're holding on. It's normalcy bias. They're holding on to like the last vestiges of the 90s. I love the 90s. I would love to go back to the 90s. Okay? In a heartbeat. But that shit is 25 years ago. That shit is 25 fucking years ago. Shit has changed. It's not going back. Bitcoin is still going up. Buy Bitcoin. Buy Bitcoin. Like, wake up. Wake up. We are fucked. Learn drones. Learn drones and buy Bitcoin. Okay. I'll wrap it up. I'm sorry. I'm not really sorry. I'm going to wrap it up though. Drones, incredibly useful tool. If I had more money, I would be buying better drones already because I can already tell. Drones and night vision, and obviously modern rifles with, you know, viable cartridges, which we can't own here. I mean, you can't buy new ones over here anymore, but you can still buy drones. You can still buy night vision. If all of a sudden $10,000 of Bitcoin or something dropped in my lap, I would get night vision and I would get drones. I would get a drone with like a 4K or 8K, and I would get it with night vision and thermal. That shit is going to be the future. Not just so I could use it for recon, but I could train people on it and they would have a viable skill. I could start, you know, a drone training program or something. You know, everyone's already got 3D printer jobs. Everyone's already running 3D printer banks. Oh, Anchor. Thank you, Moocher Cow. Anchor batteries are the other batteries, and Anchor is making LiFo4s also. I'm gesturing to the cows, and they're like, I don't know what he's saying. If I had the capital, I think I would start a drone piloting business or something. I think drones in the future are the future. I think they're the future for farming. I think they're the future for recon. I think they're the future for police. Police are already having drone units. The military already has drone and counter-drone recon units. I think the future is drones. And racing drones are fun too. But I also... AI is going to be able to outfly the best racing drones very soon. And you need drones for recon. You need drones for like roof inspection, power line inspection, tree inspection. I think people are, and you know, photos for buildings and photos for houses and stuff. If you're a blogger, if you blog, you know, drones. Going hiking, drones are a blast. Going camping, drones are a blast. It was the 4th of July. I wish I had a night drone with 30 minutes. That would be fucking rad. Uh, you need marketable skills that you can somehow turn into a small business. And it takes a little bit of tools, and it takes a little bit of capital, and it takes a little bit of Bitcoin. But like, I get it. People are stuck on fixed incomes. I don't know. Stop smoking. Stop drinking. Stop vaping. Don't buy the new iPhone, maybe. I don't fucking know. But save every fucking penny and be using it to better your situation. Get more batteries. Get more. You don't need to buy a better streaming system. You can, if you're a streamer, I've been talking to a streamer about this. You can stream on Crapola. You can just use your phone. You don't need to have all that cool stuff, and you can do like a little bit of color grading in post. Uh, there's people with 8.5 million subs that fuck their videos up all the time. There's people who just have the AI doing their videos now. There's people who have AI just writing their books now. This AI prepper YouTuber just put out his AI book. It's way too fucking expensive, and it looks insanely redundant, and I don't want to pick it up. I read you get a first couple pages of demos. This shit looks completely AI. It asks you a question, immediately contradicts itself, does the M dash, starts a 3 count, paragraph after paragraph after paragraph after fucking paragraph. That shit is AI. Nobody fucking writes that way. Maybe it's good information. I don't know. People are going to get tired of reading AI bullshit, though. It's super topical. I'm going to do another video about the books that I recommend and why, and again, try to tell you the kind of books to look for. And I'm going to be on a couple podcasts in the next month to promote Bunker Basics. I'll leave some shout outs for those. Thanks to all the wonderful YouTubers. You know who you are. The feedback on Bunker Basics I've been getting is amazing. Unfortunately, very little of it is official Amazon feedback, which means I can't use it. But it's helping me out emotionally and telling me that I kind of went in the right direction. And gonna try to do I'm planning a seasonal update for Bunker Basics in like 3 months. After I've had a chance to really get feedback. I wanted to do a part 2. I don't know if I'm going to do a part 2. Nobody seems to care. We'll see. A lot of people like part 1, and maybe that's just where, maybe I'm just done writing. I don't know. Unless the sales really pick up on part 1, I'm not going to do a part 2. Even though I really wanted to, and I have some great topics. The art book, for the 2 of you who care about that, the art book, I'm about ready to send it to the printer for the final time. I know I've said that 4 times now. I had some other people asking about it. I tried to explain it. They immediately got incredibly dismissive, and it was really rude. And so I don't feel like having an incredibly elementary discussion with people trying to explain an art book and trying to explain how AI has worked its way into art just to have people run their fucking mouths. And so I'm probably not going to market this book at all. But I know of at least 2 people that want it, and I think the artist deserves a copy, and so I'm going to see it through. And I think it's a story that deserves to be told. I think that explaining to people that artists have been using Photoshop and Maya and Unreal Engine, all three computer tools, to make computer generated images for over 25 fucking years, and give or take on some of those tools. And people have been doing photo manips of stock photos that whole time. All Stable Diffusion is doing is the same fucking thing. That's all it's doing, is it's combining photos and doing photo manip. Like, so if you have an artist that is using an AI to mash all the images together to make the things, and then doing the touch-ups, and then mashing it back together over and over again, if an artist is doing that, you're still supporting an artist. I don't know how this shit is so difficult for people to understand. My beef with it was when people were running a one-person show that have enough money to hire an artist or support an artist somehow, and weren't. When they could have, when they had big channels, when they had money. I think it is incumbent upon creators to somehow be supporting an artist if they can support one. Editors? I don't know. Marketing? I don't know. Publishers? Very rarely. But an artist helps create your brand. And beta readers, you don't maybe necessarily need editors, but you need beta readers. You know, if you can support some beta readers, you should do it. Don't pump your book through fucking Grammarly and your AI and shit, and then just run the whole thing yourself if you could be supporting a little team. Your point to be creating a business should be to create a little team that orbits around you. That's what was pissing me off. Yeah, stealing people's art sucks too. People stealing books too. But all that is turned into is just a race to the bottom of minimum viable product, right? I get it. But let's not pretend that big publishers aren't already doing that. Big publishers are already doing that. They're already changing our beloved art into fucking ink blots. Okay? Get with the fucking program. Maybe learn shit a little bit instead of saying, well, that's weird and I don't like it. That's weird and I don't like it. When the bombs are fucking dropping, saying that's weird and I don't like it is not going to work. I don't like this. I don't like that. Solar generators are weird. I don't like them. This and that's weird. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it. No, motherfucker, nobody cares if you don't like something. When someone's trying to talk to you about something, just listen to it. Try to absorb it instead of just auto-dismissing it. I worked really hard on this fucking book. I'm going to go tweak it a little bit more. If you like art, if you're interested in how I've spent the last 5 or 6 years with the artist evolving the art of the books, you're going to like it. If you think AI is just weird and want to auto-dismiss it and don't give a shit about learning something and appreciating some cool shit, then fine. But that is what that is. Maybe the art book is the last book I make. We'll see how the sales of Bunker Basics pick up. If the sales of Bunker Basics pick up, I'll write Bunker Buddies. If not, I'm going to keep doing quarterly updates to Bunker Basics, and that's just going to be it. P&W Affliction sales have almost completely stagnated, and nobody must want more P&W Affliction books, I guess. I'll focus on homesteading or something, or I'll just play Division 2. Just, yeah, like, whatever. Keep doing this silly podcast and doing podcasts with my buddies and just all of us screaming at the top of our lungs to try to get people prepared. Man, 2027 is going to be it. China's going to be ready to invade Taiwan. We could be in a massive food crisis by then. We could be in a massive internal conflict by then. All of our power stations could get cybered and drone striked by then. Everyone's certainly going to be fucking unemployed by then. If you work for Intel, I don't know what to tell you. I am sorry. The federal government is hemorrhaging people like crazy. All of their external hiring is frozen. So forget that. So unless you're going to go for the military, and the military is going to start clamping down, or they're just going to recruit you and ship you to God knows where to fight some other foreign brother war again. I thought maybe Comcast was hiring. Comcast isn't hiring right now. So if you don't already have a marketable skill like, fiber installs, fiber splicing, home repair, if you haven't built your nest egg now and you're starting from scratch, it's not over. You just have to compile your resources, get the family members together you can trust, compile the last of your resources, buckle your finances down like crazy, and buy Bitcoin. I mean, put your money in, if you have any money left, put it in some kind of a storage like Bitcoin, where it can't fucking zero out, because nobody's getting raises. You can't job hop to get more money anymore. Nobody thinks that interest rates are going down. Nobody thinks that interest rates are going up. And if you don't have something to put your money into, you're going to have to put it in kind of a storage sort of a situation, so you can use it if you need it, but so it can't depreciate. I think Costco started limiting gold bars. I'm not sure how that worked. There was a whole deal where you could buy Costco gold bars or was it Costco silver or Costco gold, without having to pay taxes, as long as it was a certain amount. That might be a good situation for you. I'm not. I think silver's awesome. I think gold is dog shit as a financial storage. But who knows? Gold could just keep going through the roof again too. I don't know. Figure out something though. If you have money and if you're not going to put it into solar and batteries, or Bitcoin, figure out something, or the best case scenario is pay your debt off, and stop doing pay in four if you can't afford it. Stop using credit cards. Like, hunker down on your finances now, and start planning not for a recession. Start planning for a replacement. Start planning, like, what if the cartels just roll into your neighborhood? What if the culture war in Mexico boils over and part 2 of the Mexico culture war kicks off here? Like, you need to be talking to your neighbors. You need to be, if you planted food this year, take lots of notes. Just do the best you can to consolidate your resources. Don't put it all in one thing. You don't want your house to burn down. But, like, if you're not in a group, start a group. Don't act desperate, because there's parasites out there. But, like, even if the group is just your family, get fucking prepared. It might be really hot where you live. It might be really cold where you live. You might get grid down in the summer. You might get grid down in the winter. You might get tsunamis. You might get hurricanes. You might get tornadoes. All these people saying the shit's not going to hit the fan are fucking stupid. The shit's been hitting the fan. There's been 3 floods in like the last couple weeks. something's going on with the weather. It's beautiful here now, but 2 days ago it was like just this massive, insane cloud cover, and it was like raining in the middle of fucking July. So something's going on. Anyway, I'm rambling. I think I touched on everything I wanted to touch on by Bitcoin. And yeah, y'all take care and look forward to episode 100. And look forward to a video about some books. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye-bye. Only way we make it through this is together.